1, launching.
Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters PyeongChang. We are here in the middle of a grueling Terran vs. Terran series. It has been Brazil versus Italy. We're about halfway through with Brazil leading 2-1.
They have been pretty crazy games so far, to be honest. They're going a little bit as we expected with our Brazilian player Kelazhur playing very aggressively, trying to get in there, do his damage early on, but some great defense from HeRoMaRiNE.
Yeah, I mean, he's been hanging on against this and such great preparation. At the beginning of that last game, it was almost fortuitous, the positioning in the early defense, but Kelazhur finds a way. He's got that flair. He always has this aggressive flair, this risk-taking sort of mindset, and it's something which has always drawn me to really look at his play and say, this guy can always take down anyone. If he kind of comes out with the right mindset and confidence, he really can play such a high level of StarCraft.
One of the scariest players out there due to that unpredictability, that just the fact that he can mess up anyone early on, even if they defend as well as HeRoMaRiNE. We'll see if he can finish it out here as we go into game number 4.
No doubt a little bit flustered after that last game. Eastwatch, very large map. We were talking at the start of that last one about how HeRoMaRiNE really might get into his comfortable late game stage. But we haven't had a chance to see that yet, and this is something you often see when two Terran players are very evenly matched and at least one of them was willing to play very aggressive. You see these very, very aggressive early games. One player takes an edge and runs with it quite quickly. So HeRoMaRiNE, no doubt, he'd love to get to those middle stages, but as of yet, unable to find a way to establish himself there.
I tell you, he needs to keep that defense up, I think. He needs to never drop his guard even for a second, because like last game, game number 3, I felt he had a strong edge in the early game, and then you're not looking for 1 second, Kelazhur jumps on you and you're dead. That's it, you've lost too many units. He keeps fighting onwards, but when Kelazhur gets that lead, it is hard to wrestle it back.
At this level of Terran versus Terran as well, something you don't see very often. Random liberators coming in for that late game harassment. It's these odd maneuvers that set this Brazilian player apart. But let's dive into map number 4 in this best of 5 series. Representing Brazil up here in the top left-hand side of Catalyst. In the blue, it is Kelazhur.
And our Italian representative looking to tie it up in game number 4. It's HeRoMaRiNE.
As Kevin was saying earlier on the desk, this guy's been a part of the StarCraft 2 scene since its inception. He's been playing from a very young age, has grown up with StarCraft, and we've seen him, become a popular streamer. He's often featured on a lot of the German, shows with both Take and some of the other personalities. He's someone who's really endeared himself to the StarCraft community because he loves to share his views on the game, his analysis. He's not someone who just kind of practices behind a dark wall and we never see anything of. He's a very common face who shares his thoughts about the game.
And as Rotterdam was saying, this guy has been playing real-time strategy games since he was like 9 or 10 years old. This is the new generation of pro gamer that we get to watch. And the thing is, I don't think that he nor Kelazhur have really reached their prime yet.
Not at all.
These are guys that maybe I mean, maybe they make a big splash here, but I would say more reasonably in the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to see them rise to the very top of the scene if they keep this up.
Yeah, that's what sometimes newcomers to the scene don't fully grasp. I know I didn't when I was first getting into StarCraft 2, is just how much breadth and depth there is to the game, how many scenarios there are for you to gain experience in, how many mechanics there are for you to master, and that's why we do see this slow trajectory to the top where an immense amount of hard work is involved in that middle stage.
It's so true. I mean, if you're new to StarCraft, let me tell you, this is the hardest video game in the world. The fiercest competitors. It's a one-on-one game, as you clearly see here, and it's a tough one, man. It takes a while to become one of the best.
Absolutely, and looking at the build orders of these two players, it looks like there are going to be tech labs coming down for both of them, so it could potentially see Banshees or Ravens, or a mixture of both coming out from both. And both guys have opened up with a 1 base opening, no expansion, so we're seeing double gas, and that is a very safe way to play. Of course, the divergence is the Hellion comes out for HeRoMaRiNE first, then goes into the Cyclone a little bit later, whereas Kelazhur just dove straight into that Cyclone, and yet has still secured a very fast Banshee and Cloak.
Yeah, both sides going for that Banshee and Cloak, so that's kind of cool to see. They're really going to mix it up with each other early on, and sometimes when we see Banshee versus Banshee, it just turns into a slugfest where SCVs are dying left and right. You've put so much money into attacking your opponent, you can barely defend yourself.
Oh, we actually have a very important move coming up right now. Oh, I thought the Reapers were going to stick with it, but no, HeRoMaRiNE should be able to defend unless those Reapers are going to flank from the left.
This is a huge move. If they could flank that, he runs away just in time. They were looking to throw grenades behind the Cyclone and bounce it to his opponent, or to his own Cyclone, and killing it off.
Wow, this is about to get messy. HeRoMaRiNE needs to defend. The Banshee is out, and that's going to help out a lot. His own Reapers are actually coming home across the map. HeRoMaRiNe chooses to defend rather than attack. Now, he has spotted the Banshee, but I'm not sure if he's realized, and he's actually going to lose 1 Reaper here. No engineering bay down for either player just yet, but Viking production has started, as well as more Cyclones. So using Scan, 2 or 3 Cyclones and a Viking can shut down a Banshee pretty effectively.
And you know what? These guys, once again, kind of showing who they are as players. Kelazhur with that very aggressive stance.
Oh, a missed scan there. Jumps the gun and activates it just after the cloak goes down. That cancels the initial lock-on, and now the Banshee getting big damage. There's no second scan ready, no engineering bay. HeRoMaRiNE, that's almost a game-ending mistake there for him.
Just brutal right there. Kelazhur diving in and being rewarded for it. Himself getting that great strong scan out, killing off his opponent's Banshee. You know, that anti-air attack, you can't use it all the time on these Cyclones, which is why we see 17, 18 workers being killed. Kelazhur, you see him there on the bottom, quite sure of himself at this point. He should be picking up a victory.
I mean, this is the power of aggression from Kelazhur. Closes the series out suddenly, unexpectedly, with the 3-1 victory there. Breathes a sigh of relief.
Yeah, Kelazhur, what a strong win. Showing his style, using it to the utmost. I'm so impressed with this guy, man. He's had such a great last couple of years as he's risen from relative obscurity into right now the round of 8 of Intel Extreme Masters PyeongChang.
And it's not even a surprise anymore. That's just how much we've come to respect his play. Of course, a bit of a devastating loss there for the young Italian representative. But Kelazhur will be going through to face SOS in that quarterfinals. And hello, James, joining us over here. How'd you enjoy that series?
Very much so. It seems like, unfortunately for HeRoMaRiNE, kind of bombs out here against someone like Kelazhur. But, you know, we were talking about how that aggression can come in, and Kelazhur was able to get most of the upper ends of a lot of that aggression, Dan.
Well, he just keeps diving in. He keeps looking for damage. And the thing is, even sometimes they're doing the same build order, but Kelazhur is the one that's being aggressive with it. And, you know, if you make one mistake in a high-stress tournament environment like this, you know, so much is on the line, you want to get that round of 8. You make that mistake, man, like that one missed scan that we saw, and bam, lights out.
Yeah, you know, in the earlier skirmish as well, we saw HeRoMarine's reaction, right? There's a pressure situation. He pulls the Reapers home, comes home and says, let's defend. But because of that, he didn't spot the Banshee tech as fast as he otherwise could have. Wasn't quite prepared for it. The aggressive play, the one who takes the gambles, ends up getting the win there with some very clean play.
Yeah, good stuff by Kelazhur. And I think for a lot of people looking at how this series plays out, personally for me, after seeing how well Kelazhur did in 2017, he's the guy that arguably should be going on into the next round to try and compete against these players. Is that fair to say?
I would definitely say so. I think that he was one of the rising stars last year where, you know, he was never going to win a tournament last year. But last year, the way that he just got better and better throughout, and, you know, he had just kind of risen up the year before, I think all of us looked at him as, okay, he's had a good year, but it is actually 2018 that we want to watch Kelazhur in.
Yeah, what do you think about his prospects, not only just in this tournament for 2018, but also just the whole of 2018?
I mean, we've seen him become a fantastic player. You start out as a bit of a cheesy guy on the ladder, 3-racks reapering everyone. You take that into tournaments and you kind of develop your proxy rushes. But then last year, we saw him back it up with solid macro, and we're seeing him just become more well-rounded every single week. Every tournament he enters, he's just got more depth to his play. And to me, that speaks so much to his prospects as a player. I think 2018, I would not be surprised to see Kelazhur become that top #1 player out of Latin America, the player who's making it to semifinals and even taking a championship this year.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, as we now are going to head over to the stage to hear what Kelazhur has to say about his win.
Congratulations, Kelazhur. You're in the top 8 of an Intel Extreme Masters for the first time in your career, especially after Leipzig ended in the round of 32 for you. Tell us how this event compares.
This event is very big for me. As a matter of fact, I was playing another tournament on this day, and I was playing that tournament preparing for this one. So I figured, maybe he will be watching, so I tried to play different builds, and it didn't go very well for me in the other tournament, but I'm glad it paid off in this one.
Yeah, definitely, because you were able to come out with the win over HeRoMaRINE. Let's break down Eastwatch, because you went for Proxy Reapers, and so just talk to us about what happened, what was going through your mind when you lost that first Reaper, because it was not looking so good for you.
Yeah, when I killed the first Reaper and I lost one, I thought, it's okay, you know, it's 1 for 1. But when I lost the second one, when I was jumping down and I lost it for free, like the camera probably didn't catch it, but I took my hands off the keyboard and I went like this, like, And then, but I'm glad I was able to pull the comeback. It was a very close match. I think his response was very good after I got that many kills on the SCVs. So I'm just glad that I got that game.
Well, now you are in the top 8 of the Intel Extreme Masters here, and you're going up against a pretty tough opponent in SOS, both a BlizzCon and an Intel Extreme Masters champion himself. You've never played him before, so what are your thoughts on him?
I think SOS is a very good player. I play him very often in the ladder since I came to Korea. And usually, I'd say the games are pretty 50-50, so I'm looking forward to him. But for this round specifically, I'm just very relieved to be here. Yeah, I was kind of doubting myself, but I'm just happy I'm back in form.
I'm sure your fans feel exactly the same way. Congratulations again, and best of luck.
Thank you very much, Smix, and congratulations to the bold and aggressive Kelazhur, moving on into the round of 8. Once again, to my left, joined by Rotterdam and Nathanius to get things going. And overall, very aggressive builds coming out from Kelazhur. Very, very strong and powerful stance through a lot of that.
I loved watching that series because it was everything that I felt that Kelazhur was missing in the last few weeks of his games that I saw in his performance in Leipzig. He came out, he brought the X-Factor play, he was able to make things happen where nothing was there. I love the question. Watching that game when he lost, that Reaper coming in, and then I was like, okay, well, in a normal TVT situation, when your proxy Reaper fails like this, like you're usually kind of stuck, but being able to use the barracks, like the way that he got the Cyclone kill, like he made everything happen that he needed to make happen in that series.
Yeah, we quite often at this desk say cheeky Kalaras, but that was a very cheeky Kelazhur in that entire best of 5. And even in the interview, I love that he mentioned, he's like, yeah, I played a couple TVTs this morning, and I assumed that my opponent was watching. So I actually did a couple things that I was definitely not going to do here. Because this best of 5 meant so much to me. And he was a real trickster in this one, James.
Yeah, he definitely was. And I love what you're saying about that, because it's not just this tournament that's going on in StarCraft, right? All of these players are studying everybody's build from all of these other tournaments going on. It's a huge ecosystem where You've got to be on your toes every given moment. I think, Rotterdam, do you have some things to show me? If
Just a little cheeky Kelazhur play over here.
Almost me.
As in both games, I honestly felt that Game 2 and Game 3 were quite similar. I think StarCraft 2, to keep it simple, if you create a problem for your opponent, that's obviously what you want to do. You want to make it hard on them.
Yeah.
But it's always better to create 2 problems or use 1 attack to set up the next one. And I felt Game 2 and 3 are stereotype examples of this. We can go ahead and play this. We can see the Liberator head into the main. This was a proxy Liberator. These guys are good, so they count everything up to the second. The moment you proxy something, it suddenly shows up 15 or 20 seconds sooner, because the Liberator doesn't have to cross to the other side of the map. The Cyclone runs towards the main base to deal with that Liberator, and right on that moment, Kelazhur runs up this ramp and does a lot of economic damage. And that's everything he's hoping for. And I just love how he does it. He speeds up the attack by proxying, shows the first attack, and then he runs into the natural. That's just the kind of stuff that you want to do, and an attack that if it would have came 1 by 1 or irregular timing, I don't think it does all that much, because HeRoMarinE plays against it all the time. The moment you proxy it, you speed everything up, and now obviously on Game 2, I mean, maybe we can play it back like a tiny bit. I just loved it. He's like, hi, here's my barracks, and HeRoMaRiNE's like, oh, free barracks, I'll take the barracks, and right on that moment, again, he runs up that ramp, and that kill on that Cyclone is massive. If that doesn't happen, we are watching at a completely different game, and when the score is all tied up, Game 3, we all know, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, I'm not going to make up a random statistic, but winning Game 3 in a best of 5 is obviously massive. And that barracks, a barracks that normally is utterly useless in that phase in the game, kind of wins him the game here.
Yeah, definitely does, and from there, it could just continue to be kind of aggressive for Kelazhur.
So that was about it.
Nice,
cheeky and tricky, but it worked.
Nathanius, in TVT, all that aggression, able to pay off here for Kelazhur.
I agree with everything Roddy said. Those specific moments are so invaluable. Just the barracks flying up the ramp that the Cyclone of HeRoMaRiNE locked onto while those 5 Reapers run up and snipe it. Like, it's one of those things where if you're HeRoMaRiNE, maybe you're just on autopilot. You're like, oh yeah, he's giving up on the proxy.
Right.
So the barracks is just coming to scout, right? In your brain, you kind of like, oh yeah, I'll lock onto it. But the Cyclone's, it's going to take like a year for it to kill a barracks in the air. And then the next thing you know, you get baited, your Cyclone's dead, and Kelazhur destroyed most of HeRoMaRiNE's SCVs at the start of that game.
Yep, and of course the game goes on for a long time, right? Because players at this level with this much on the line, you don't want to tap out if you lose 7 or 8 SCVs. But we look at Eastwatch and we see a bio versus mech game on 4 bases, but it all comes back to that very first moment. If that Cyclone of HeRoMaRiNE is standing there to fight those units of Kelazhur, they are casting a completely different game, and most likely with a very different outcome as well.
And Kelazhur moving on 3-1. Good stuff by him. So thank you very much, gentlemen, as I am going to mosey on once again, and we're going to get a bit of an update. Oh, actually, no, I want to check the bracket first, now that I think about it, because if we check the bracket, that means that we can see who are already advanced on, and then that is all good.
I know you didn't want to leave me, Kalaris.
No, just you. I'm sticking around for you. So SOS has been able to advance on through here, and he will be going up against Kelazhur in a few moments' time as well, which is an all-important match and quite a big match. A difficult opponent for Kelazhur to go up against.
I love that he mentions his ladder record against him, because we know that he doesn't play him in tournaments, and that confidence out of Kelazhur is awesome. He's a fast, aggressive player, and with a player that has an X factor like that, I think it makes you a very good ladder player, because he can pull himself out of a lot of scrappy situations. And it makes me look forward to that series, because I do feel there's the potential for an upset. He has the ability to make that happen.
SOS is a monster.
Potential there always is, but SOS is a monster, and above all, he's a tournament monster. SOS is completely unpredictable. I think out of all the top Protoses, he's the one that is the most unpredictable, has the widest arsenal of strategies, and we recently had a big patch, and you may think like you sort of know what you go up against, but SOS is SOS. There is only one of him.
That's true. That's true. All right. I teased Todd over there just a moment ago, but this time we're really going to go over there and see what he's up to. How you doing, Todd? You good?
Yeah, look, was looking forward to this. You know, I thought it was almost all time, but at last you're here. So I've got a couple moments here from the series of SOS against DNS. That was game 1, and honestly, I don't know how to put this other than he just kind of walked in and killed him. DNS opened with his targets. SOS made a bunch of gateway units on the ground. He just walks in there, has too much. It ends very quick. Just a little past the 4th minute. There was not much DNS could do. So SOS kind of setting the pace from game number 1. And he was like, you know, I'm just going to throw in an attack, test the waters. He just kills him right out, which is very fortunate, I guess. And then we head into game 2. We had a DT on DT situation where like that one DT is of DNS, is blocking the DT of SOS. That was a little bit weird of an opener.
Yeah.
SOS did slightly more damage with his Dark Templars, he bought time from the expansion of DNS that wasn't mining for some time, which led up to this big fight in which SOS just has much. He has much more in Immortals, in Archons. He sets up a great concave, takes a good fight, and just wrap things up here in game number 2. It was a little bit of a block here, but other than that, pretty clean play from the Korean Protoss, and a solid 2-0 lead from there, which leads us into game number 3. And I think that was a real interesting one. SOS did so much more damage early on. Like, you see the units lost at this stage. Like, he stayed on one base the entire game and kept on tricking DNS, who was trying to expand the whole time.
Right.
SOS moved up the ramp every time, and DNS didn't really know how to read this. He thought they were both on an expansion. He was like, I'm gonna fight, but no. He had slightly less, and every time he kept on trading poorly. And now we reached the stage where SOS again will be able to do an attack here in a second with just much more. So we're gonna pause right there. And right now, SOS, he not only has more, like he also is looking to try and force a fight very quick against DNS, and also take some sort of micro advantage, which is very hard because they have similar armies. You know, he's got a couple more Phoenixes, maybe some more Stalkers as well, but it's not as easy as just attack moving. So what I want you to look at is the Phoenix Flower. So these Phoenixes, they can attack up to around here, and these from up to here. So the trick here is to build a flower, group them up, so that if some of the Phoenixes of DNS are around here, they will be attacked. Those that are in the back here will not be attacked. So I'm gonna clear it and let it play from there, and you can see those Phoenixes. There was 2 Phoenixes right there that got attacked first before the fight actually started, and SOS gets a great start when he already has a bigger army, so he gets an easy win with that fight after that. I mean, on the other side, DNS tries to counterattack. What does SOS do? Boom, recall! Jumps on top of those Phoenixes, and he has so many more Phoenixes left over. We're almost watching Roddy's stream at this point. Like, you know, he's just gonna have him roll over and kill everything. So SOS with a solid 3-0.
There's a lot of micro tricks kind of going on there when you're controlling those Phoenix in those high octane moments, right?
I think DNS needed to be the one with getting the Phoenix Flower advantage for him to have a chance with the range of the Phoenixes, but SOS was the one, and he already had a better army.
There you go. Thank you very much, Todd, for that update here as we continue to keep up to date with all of the action going on here from the Intel Extreme Masters. For now, we're going to go to a short break once again, and when we're back, it's the final series of the day here for the Intel Extreme Masters PyeongChang.
The Intel Extreme Masters PyeongChang is an event held in advance to the Winter Olympic Games of 2018. StarCraft players